council meeting for Monday, July 18th, 2022. We have an attendance request of following city officials. Safety Service Director Barbara Sylvester.
Present.
Law Director Justin Richard.
Present.
Assistant Law Director Edmund Mack.
Present.
Chief Counsel Bill Bartels.
Present.
Community Development Director Samantha Walters.
Present.
Economic Development Director Dave Maley.
Present.
Income Tax Budget Director Lori Patagides-Bora.
Present.
Code Enforcement Officer Jimmy Johnson.
Present.
Is there anyone from administration that I missed? That's it, Madam President. Thank you, and welcome to all in attendance. Under number 5 on the agenda is where the public can speak on any topic that does appear on tonight's agenda. And then again, under number 17 is where the public can speak on any topic that does not appear on tonight's agenda. I'd like to ask everyone with a cell phone to either mute it or turn it off to help with the sound system. Thank you. Roll call. Creamer.
Present.
Gray.
Here.
Harvard Smith. Hurricane.
Here.
Lewis.
Present.
Lombardi.
Here.
Sloots.
Here.
Sneed. And Barrett.
Present.
Roll call of 7 present. Councilman Lewis.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Councilwoman Harwood Smith and Councilman Snead.
Second by Councilman Hurricane. Roll call. Gray.
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Lombardi.
Yes.
Sloot.
Yes.
Barrett.
Yes.
And Creamer.
Yes.
7 yes to excuse Councilwoman Harwood Smith and Councilman Snead. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Snead and Councilman Harwood Smith have been excused. Councilman Hurricane.
Thank you, Madam President. If you please stand and join me in the Lord's Prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, now and forever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Councilman Hurricane. Madam Clerk, are the minutes of the previous meeting transcribed and open for public viewing? Yes, they are. Are there any additions or corrections to be made? No, there are not. Then the minutes stand approved as written. We are at number 5 on the agenda, where anyone from the public can speak on any topic that does appear on tonight's agenda. If you wish to do so, please come forward, state your name, address, and topic you wish to discuss, and please limit your comments to 4 minutes or less. Seeing none, we'll move into new and miscellaneous business. I have been contacted along with some other council people about some concerns at the Massillon Cemetery. So we have a group of people that are here this evening that would like to speak. And we have also contacted Rick Alex, who is the superintendent of the Massillon Cemetery Association. Is that correct, Mr. Alex?
I'm actually the volunteer president of the board.
President of the board. Thank you. So if somebody from the public would like to come up and speak, again, please state your name and address. And limit your comments to 4 minutes or less.
Thank you. My name is Juan Cortez. My address is 654 First Street Northwest, Massillon, Ohio, 44646.
Could you speak into the mic a little better so she can record you?
My apologies.
Thank you.
So my name is Juan Cortez, and my address is 654 First Street Northwest, Massillon, Ohio, 44646. Pardon me. The concern, just to set it straight, we would like to discuss the concern void of any intention to inconvenience anyone beyond a simple change to some rules for the cemetery and clearly marking what they are. We're not seeking any kind of, and I say we, I should probably be saying I can only speak for myself. To the best of my knowledge, we're not seeking any kind of legal pursuant result to where someone should be held accountable beyond the change that we'd like to see. And that change that we'd like to see is to be able to leave memorials at our loved ones' grave sites according to what's agreeable between us and the Cemetery Association, with the expectation that as long as we're following the agreed upon guidelines, we can expect cooperation, for lack of better words. The reason that this is a concern is because before the sign was posted clearly stating what the rules and regulations, guidelines are, there were memorials removed from grave sites, and it came as a surprise. And that's not really that big a deal. The big deal, I feel, is how the removal was conducted. Memorial pieces like trinkets, just keepsakes, things that maybe some of which should not have been left at a grave site if they were of extreme importance, and other things that we considered that those who left them there considered worth leaving at a grave site, knowing good and well that there's such a thing as vandalism in the world. That's a risk that everybody is taking responsibility from themselves to take. But when items are removed as part of what would be considered a standard procedure to just upkeep the cemetery, I don't feel that it's acceptable that they should be desecrated or demolished, damaged, beyond placing them in a trash receptacle. For them to be demolished with evidence laying there at the gravesite, that's not acceptable. So if we could get some clarification regarding what we're allowed to put there, when we're allowed to have it there, when we would need to remove it, and specifically, just for myself, I didn't speak with the rest of us that are here to represent this concern. I feel that if something's placed on top of a grave marker or headstone, it's in no way a danger to the groundskeepers, because that's their argument. They want to know that they can operate their string trimmers and mowers safely. Whether they wear protective equipment or not is beside the point. Whether they have skill to operate that machinery effectively and safely is beside the point. If we put something on top where there's nothing to trim, there's nothing to mow, what's it hurting and why should it have been removed the very next day? I would need help understanding to make that justifiable. And I'll just leave it to someone else because I know that was more than 4 minutes. I appreciate you.
Could write your name and address on the paper, thank you.
Absolutely.
Anyone else want to speak? Yes.
I'm not going to be able to reach this to speak into it. Thank you. My name is Annette Molig France. This has been going on with me. It's more personal because of my mom. It's been a year and a half that she's been gone, and I've been fighting this ever since then. I have pictures and proof if you'd like to see them. When she was buried there, we were told that they no longer plant grass. They don't put dirt there anymore. There were literally holes in the grass where groundhogs were living. I have pictures of that as well. I know that Ron had told me personally that he removes things twice a year. There was no notification on that gate when this all happened. He put it up after I had called Channel 19 News, the Massillon paper, the Canton paper, Channel 5, etc. The sign was duct taped to the gate, the entrance gate, with his rule saying that we are only allowed to put things there from September to March. That doesn't work for me. My mom died in April, her birthday's in April, there's Mother's Day, there's Father's Day, there's other holidays where I'm sure people would like to place things on their loved ones' graves and know that they're still going to be there when they return. It's not fair to us that Massillon Oakwood is the only cemetery that does not have any decorations at all. And if they do, there's maybe a handful that haven't been removed already. I have gone through every cemetery in Massillon. There are flowers, there are decorations, there are things there. It's depressing enough that you have to go there to see your loved one, but when you cannot even put any flowers there or any memories there, I find it pathetic, and I'm not okay with it. I'm never going to be okay with it. I go there every single day to talk to my mom. She was my best friend, and I'm never going to be okay with not being able to place things there to let her know that I miss her. My brother had placed a little angel there that was hers, that was busted in half. It was actually glued to the top of the stone where it was not in anyone's way. I have personally made things myself to put there that have been thrown in the trash. Ron told me that he went to every trash dumpster around the property trying to retrieve this for me and was unable to locate it. All I'm asking is if we can just have the rules revised or rewritten. And I'm speaking for my cousin and mutual friends and family members that are here. We would like to have things on our gravestones and left there until we remove them. We are not going to let them be trashy. We are not going to let the flowers mold, per se. We will take care of them. My father and I took 20 bags of dirt there and grass seed and planted it myself for my mom. I have pictures of that as well if you'd like to see them. And they tell us that we're allowed to put live flowers there, but there's no bread and water in the cemetery. So we also have to carry jugs of water there whenever we water the plants that the deer haven't eaten or destroyed. I don't think that it's a big problem to have silk flowers there or items placed on top of the stones. And that's our big complaint. We just would like the rules revised so that we can put things there. If anyone would like to see the pictures, I have them.
If you want to pass them around, council can pass them around. Thank you.
I have also submitted at least 50 letters to the senator in behalf of this because somebody's going to have to help us with this. I'm not concerned about how often they mow. I could care less about that. Our concern are the items that we put on the grave. We would like them to be there when we go back the next day. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to see? If you could sign your name and address, I'd appreciate it. That. Thank you. Anyone else? Happy. Is it Alec or Alex?
Alex.
Mr. Alex, if you come up.
Let me respond.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me respond to the two people and the group.
Mr. Alex, you will have to speak into the mic so she can get
I'm
it on the
sorry,
record.
yeah. Let me say, number one, people do care about the mowing. That's probably the number one problem we have. There's 75 acres down there, 60 in Massillon, 15 in Oakwood. There's 23,000 burials between the two cemeteries. Let's say there's a headstone for every two. You figure out how many headstones there are. I've got one office worker that works part-time. I've got two full-time mowers. Ron is a superintendent, non-paid. I'm non-paid. I've been down there for over 40 years. Cemetery's had some rough times. I'll be the first to admit it. But we're back on good grounds now, and we're making headway. As far as mowing grass, and I think that kind of really stuck when she said she doesn't care about the mowing because it's the number one complaint we get. By the Ohio Revised Code, I'm obligated to mow that cemetery and weed eat twice a year. How many people would be in this council chamber complaining about the grass if I didn't do it? It's a full-time job. They start on Monday, they never quit till Friday, and start all over again and keep going. As far as the rule changes go, I'm open to that. I'd like to see what your suggestions are. But I'll warn you now, what we had down there was a carnival setting. It got out of control. Small little trinkets on the tombstones, whether they're glued or not an issue. But when you have people putting up lampposts in two-gallon buckets with cement on either side of gravestones, we have people trying to plant evergreens, we have people trying to plant trees in the walkways, it becomes a problem. This happened over a period of years, I'll be very honest with you. We let things go, we tried to be accommodating to the point where it got out of control. I'll honestly tell you, I don't necessarily agree with the way Ron did it, but I think one of the guys got hurt weed eating, and he said enough's enough. The rules have been clearly spelled out in the office. Anybody can grab the rules. These rules haven't changed. Cemetery started in 1846. It's always been that way. We tried to be as accommodating as we could. I'm very open to changing the rules. And I think if I was to get a good presentation of what they want to be, and we follow those guidelines that everybody has to follow, I'm open. I have nothing else unless I have some questions.
Jamie, you had talked to some of the people as well.
Thank you, Ms. Heisnick. I went out last week, I spoke to Ron Deans, who Mr. Alley said was the groundskeeper. I invited him here tonight, and he said he was not interested in coming. He also said that they do have 2 mowers and 3 weed eaters, that they constantly do the work. When I went there Thursday, they were actually mowing. And I asked Mr. Beans, I asked him if he was related to him or who was this guy mowing, and he said, just the guy we hired off the street. So they were mowing. I do have a loved one down there also. My mother-in-law is buried down there in Massillon Cemetery. And I too felt like years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, that the conditions were not the greatest. My wife goes down, she plants flowers on her mother's grave a couple times a year, just as her father does, and visits the loved ones down there. But I do have to say, in defense of the cemetery, when I was down there last week, that it didn't look too bad as far as the mowing and the conditions of the grounds. Mr. Bean said he spends his own money on chemicals to whiten the tombstones, and I talked to him probably half an hour. So he said he does not get paid, and he's worked for the memorial company across the street for the last 14 years, Thompson Memorial, and he spends a lot of his own money down there. I too would like to see some compromise with the cemetery to see if we can come to some resolution to be able to put trinkets or whatever we want to put down there for our loved ones, and also so that the workers do not get hurt. I don't want to see anybody get hurt by this stuff either. So I appreciate you being open-minded and willing to work with the people, and I think that's a good start.
Thank you. I know the city does not have any jurisdiction over the cemetery. It's its own entity. The reason I had invited everybody down here is it's in Massillon, and it affects Massillon, the beauty of it, or it's a historical cemetery. And perhaps we could open some lines of communication between the 2 groups and maybe come some kind of compromise.
Right. No, and I fully agree. Let's take a look at it. Within reason, you are allowed to plant flowers in front of the tombstone, a foot out from the tombstone. You're not allowed to put gravel and mulch and fencing. We have people even building shacks over their loved one's grave. Like I said, it got out of control and to the point where a glass jar full of flowers broke on a weed eater, and that was enough. So I would suggest that any concerned party want to put together as a group or individually their thoughts on what they'd like to see as far as the rules and regulations, and we'll definitely take a look at it and what's fair is fair.
Thank you. Does anyone have a, Jamie?
Thank you. Mr. Alley, can I ask if these people do have concerns, can they talk to you about that, or do they have to talk to Mr. Beans?
I prefer to see it in writing, along with their name, address. I'll address it with Ron. Ron's basically the acting superintendent. He lives there. Like I said, I've been involved by accident for the last 40 years. Not something I thought was ever going to last this long, but I'm just trying to keep it together for the city of Massillon. Have been for all these years. So collectively, we'll take a look at it. I think we'll put something together and then invite everybody that submitted their suggestions to a meeting and do it that way. Would be my preference. I'd like to see what we're looking at first.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Could they have your address to mail things to you?
1827 South Erie Street.
1827 South Erie.
Attention, Rick Alex.
South Erie.
Yep.
Councilman Gray?
Thank you, Madam President. Josh, you mentioned you're the president of the Massillon Cemetery Association.
Yes.
Are there other officers, or are you the sole individual involved?
Over the course of the years, they pretty much all were deceased. We do have a couple of board members, inactive board members. We don't meet regularly. There's really nothing to discuss. We've got a couple of things we need to discuss here within the next year. That's the condition of the roads and the condition of the house. And the house is on the National Historical Record. We need some windows. We just don't have the funds to do that. The endowment fund today, with interest rates the way they are, your quarterly dividend on your endowment fund may get you a couple of tanks of gas for a week. So it's basically we live by funerals and lot sales. And that's basically from the left hand to the right hand with the money situation. I will say over the last course of the years, and I'd like to address the dirt problem. Unfortunately, COVID was not good, except for cemeteries and funeral homes. We went through a rash of funerals during winter. You could not keep up with them. I apologize for the dirt on the graves. We weren't the only ones. The person that's digging graves now, every cemetery he did, he just left a mess. We finally got that cleaned up, so I apologize for that. That should not happen. With cremations the way they are today, we get about 25% of what a funeral is. I'm mowing grass from 1846 that they paid $15 for a lot, and I'm still mowing their grass today. So yeah, it's a challenge.
So the other members of the board would be involved in addressing these issues, these concerns?
I would bring everybody in at that point, yes.
And there's a process?
It's not just my decision.
Right, okay. And you have a process in place to if changing the rules is warranted, a process in place to do that?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Councilman Stutes?
Thank you. How much of a timeline can we give these people after they submit their complaints or maybe their resolutions for trinkets or whatever they want to put on the gravestone? After they mail those to you?
Yeah, I would say 30 days is fair.
30 days?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Once I know that I have them, sure.
Thank you.
30 days seems fair.
Yes, ma'am.
And you guys' address, and if you didn't, you can call the clerk of council, she has it on record.
Okay, I do have one question, if that's okay.
That's fine.
I was
Come
under,
up to the mic and state.
sure. We were told that if you called Scott Holzleiter's office, there's funding available that could help them maintain the properties. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Does anyone have any intake on that?
Barb, did you look into that?
Good evening. Yes, I do. There is grant money out there. You do have to be registered with the state cemetery, and as with all grants, there are guidelines that you do have to follow.
And I presume, Rick, we are registered with the state.
Yes.
They are registered. I did confirm that as well. Yes, they are.
Then maybe you could look into some grants or,
There is criteria, of course. There are certain items that can be used for and can't be used for.
okay.
We actually looked into a grant, this was quite a few years ago, as far as the cemetery house goes, since it is on National Historical Record. Those grants are hard to come by. Number two, you have to follow the rules so stringently that it's cost prohibitive. The money doesn't come close to what it costs to restore and maintain those type of buildings. So, but we can look into grants. I don't know anything about that, but that would be something we could look into. I'd be open for suggestions, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or concerns about this? Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Both parties, I appreciate it. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I will give you a minute or two if you want to exit. Thank you, Adele.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Diane, you're up.
Yes, we have a variance appeal to the clerk of Massillon City Council pursuant to Massillon Ordinance number 1129.09. I hereby appeal the decision of the Massillon Board of Zoning Appeals approving the variance requested regarding the above referenced property rendered on June 23rd, 2022 in the above referenced matter, which is a vacant lot parcel on Woodruff Avenue Northwest. And the applicant is Jason Welsh, and he is requesting to build a two-story home with a loft, single-family dwelling on a vacant parcel, which is currently zoned R1, and he is requesting variances from the building department and, well, the Board of Zoning Appeals. And the Board of Zoning Appeals approved his variances, but we have two people, William Conti and Sharon Rader, who are wanting that decision to be reversed. We had Mr. Guest, I believe, here at the last meeting, and he withdrew his appeal, but I have not heard from these two, Mr. Conti and Ms. Rader, to withdraw their appeal. So I just wanted read into the record that they have requested an appeal to the decision of the Massillon Board of Zoning Appeals.
Thank you. Moving, does anyone have anything with miscellaneous business? Okay, moving into introduction of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 104/2022.
An ordinance amending section 2D occupational listed class titles of ordinance number 127-1997, 210, Income Tax Department, by eliminating class grades 8S, 9S, and 11S, and replacing them with class grades 12S, 13S, and 14S. And I did leave a schedule on each member's desk to see what the pay rates or the changes in the rates per class.
Councilman Gregg?
Thank you, Madam President. We discussed this in our last work session regarding the change in the application list of class titles. I'd like to ask Mrs. Cuddy Warren to come forward.
Thank you, Lord.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening. Thank you for coming.
Sure.
I was looking at the request for legislation. This does not have emergency language, but it does state that this increase would take place upon passage. So is this something you're looking at pass this evening?
I would like it to be passed this evening if all possible. I understand if it doesn't have emergency language, that's fine as well.
Yeah, well, emergency language doesn't mean passage. It's not how when it would
With
go into
30 days,
effect.
yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I'm inclined to give this at least one reading, just because it was new, presented to us this past work session. So I think we'll give that first reading and look to pass it next meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Gregg?
First reading.
Ordinance number 104, 2022 has received first reading. Ordinance number 105, 2022.
In order to making certain appropriation from the unappropriated balance of 1100 general fund for accumulated sick for the year ending December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes, this is an appropriation for $150,000 to cover the accumulated sick owed to recent retirements. Are there any discussion or questions this evening? Seeing none, I make a motion to suspend the rules requiring three readings, bring ordinance number 105-2022 forward.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension.
Kern King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Gray.
Yes.
7 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
and Kern King.
Yes.
7 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 105, 2022 is passed. Ordinance number 106, 2022.
An ordinance making certain appropriations from the unappropriated balance of 1100 general fund for arbitration services for the year ending December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
First reading.
Thank you. Ordinance number 106, 2022 has received first reading. Ordinance number 107, 2022.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio to enter into one-year prisoner transport agreements between the city of Massillon and the political subdivisions using the city's prisoner transport service, and authorizing the auditor of the city of Massillon, Ohio to deposit said funds into the 1100 general fund and the 1401 capital improvement fund effective January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes, this is an annual agreement that we do. There were a change of fees. Does anyone need additional discussion regarding this matter? Seeing none, I will make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring three readings, bring ordinance number 107-2022 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call for suspension.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kern King,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
7 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Sluse,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Kern King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Lombardi.
Yes.
7 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 107, 2022 is passed. Ordinance number 108, 2022.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Law of the City of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into a 1-year agreement with the Village of Wilmot, Ohio, for the purpose of providing prosecutorial services and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
Does anyone have any questions or discussion regarding this evening? Seeing none, I make a motion to suspend the rules requiring three readings, being ordinance number 108-2022 for a vote.
Second by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call for suspension.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Kern King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
and Sluse.
Yes.
7 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Kern King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
and Barrett.
Yes.
7 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 108, 2022 is passed. Ordinance number 109, 2022.
An ordinance to repeal ordinance number 139-2021 in part as it pertains to the appropriation of the Community Development Block Grant Fund of $250,000 to an account entitled Against Building Reconstruction, account number 1203.845.5.2510.
We need to assign this to a committee. Is that correct, Mr. Lewis?
That would be correct.
I believe this should be in your committee, finance.
Thank you.
Do we vote on that? Having said that, Councilman Lewis.
May we just receive first reading?
Thank you. Ordinance number 109, 2022 has received first reading. Any unfinished business? Are there any petitions and general communications?
No, there are not.
Are there bills, accounts, and claims?
Yes, we have a bill in the amount of $816.88 for the publication of our April ordinances.
Councilman Lewis,
I make a motion to pay the bills.
second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call.
Gregg,
Yes.
Kern King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
and Creamer.
Yes.
7 yes to pay the bills.
Madam Clerk, the clerk will get the bills and charge them to their proper accounts. Item number 11 on the agenda, reports from city officials. Ms. Sylvester, do you have any updates for us?
Good evening, Council. I did have a few updates I did want to get to everyone, just to keep everyone informed. I did want to go ahead and give you an update on our demolition program. As you know, there was money put into the budget this year for demolitions, and between Jim Johnson and Stan Walters, they have been working diligently on those. So to give you an update, as of today's date, the structures that have already been demolished so far this year is 1333 14th Street Southeast, 1630 Tremont Avenue Southwest, and a building that was on Vermont Avenue on a parcel, 680289. Also, to give you an update, there were potential demolitions that were removed during the initial process for various reasons. 1313 Walnut Southeast, 1319 Walnut Southeast, 514 Lincoln Way East. All of those were potential demos we had on our list and began the process. They were appealed to the Building Board of Appeals by new or current owners of the properties with a corrected plan of action. It was submitted and currently is in progress and being worked on. So each case is being monitored by code enforcement. At any time the new owners become non-compliant with the plan of correction that they gave to the Building Board of Appeals, then code enforcement does reserve the right to reinstate the demo orders. But those are some of the properties that were on our original list. That, as I said, right now, they were appealed, and so they have been removed. Also, 213 Maple Avenue, that property was submitted for a title check, and in preparation of the demo orders, that's part of the process that we do. It was found at that time that the property is tied up in the county due to a land contract sale. So the county is preparing to foreclose on the property. Therefore, the property is being withdrawn from the demo list as well. So currently in progress right now, in the pre-demo progress that we go through, the approval progress, right now we've moved up to 1011 13th Street Southeast, 326 Dalham Southeast, we're doing the title checks on those. 2215 Main Avenue West, we're submitting as a targeted acquisition through the assistance program application to start counting land bank. Also, code enforcement does have demolition orders on several garages throughout the city that are dilapidated and need to be demolished. If the owners do not comply within the time frame that they are given, those will be demolished by the city, and we will then assess their taxes. So the budget is $50,000. So at this point, halfway through the year, the cost of the demos we've taken down, we now have a remaining balance as of today of $25,296. So I know demos have been a concern for everyone on council, so I just wanted to give you that update. Also through engineering, to give you a couple updates from engineering. As you recall, this council gave approval to go out for the rebids on the 2022 street resurfacing, St. Andrews Phase 4, Castle West Phase 2, and the Hills and Dales pipe repair. Those bids are due into engineering's office by this Wednesday, the 20th at 1:30. So we will update council once we see where the bids come in at. Wales Road, just to let everyone know, we did get a letter from ODOT, and they basically have set out a letter that they title, it went to the contractor, and basically it's a letter putting the contractor on notice that they may be missing some deadlines on that project that was awarded to them. So they have given them until July 22nd, which is the end of this week, to give them and the city an update and a report on their progress of what they're planning to do. Our catch basin replacement projects that council approved. Project 1 is 39 catch basins that are in progress, working on those throughout the city. Catch basin project number 2 for 39 catch basins, that's also in progress throughout the city. The ARPA projects that council approved, all of these are right now in the design stage. That is 8th Street Southwest, the sanitary sewer and water line replacement, Civil Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project, the North Erie Canal, Burton Avenue Storm Sewer Improvement Project, the 20th Street Area Storm Sewer Improvement Project, and the 26th Street Northwest Area Storm Sewer Improvement Project. So those are all in the design stage. And then just a couple other updates or reminders. We are having the ice cream social with the Canton Symphony this Sunday at Duncan Plaza at 6 p.m. And Saxon the City will be at Duncan Plaza on August the 12th. Thank you.
Just before you leave, I had some discussions yesterday, thank you, especially, about are there any current street repair in progress right now? Or are we still waiting for those bids to come by? Any streets in the city?
We have to wait until the bids come in on Wednesday, and it has to be awarded.
Yeah.
Now, our street department is doing some paving for us, as they do every year, projects that they are able and capable of doing, some, the thin coat.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that was the case, because I know we went over that before we got trimmed these off and all that.
So we did get it back out as quick as we could, so the bids are due back this week. So
Awesome.
we'll keep you posted,
Thank you.
let everybody know.
Reports from city officials. Madam Clerk, do you have anything else?
Yes, I have the auditor's report for June 2022.
Thank you. Councilman Lewis,
I make a motion that we accept the auditor's report.
second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension. No.
Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
7 yes to accept the auditor's report.
Did I say for suspension? Auditor's report has been accepted. Report number 12 on the agenda, reports of committees. Our next work session will be next Monday, July 25th, 2022 at 6:30. Councilor Gregg.
I'd like to report I will not be at that work session.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilman Creamer?
Thank you, Madam President. I will also be absent at the work session.
Okay. Anyone else? Are there any requests and resolutions of council members? All right, call the calendar. Nothing. Third reading ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 73, 2022.
An ordinance granting the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio, a one-time salary increase to $84,000 per year, effective January 1st, 2024, and another one-time salary increase to $90,000 per year, effective January 1st, 2028. Also granting the auditor of the city of Massillon, Ohio, a one-time salary increase to $71,000 per year, effective January 1st, 2024, and another one-time salary increase to $77,000 per year, effective January 1st, 2028.
Councilor Lewis.
Yes, this is that third reading, so I'll entertain any further discussion if anyone has any.
Councilwoman Kramer.
Yes, I'd just like to go on the record to state that I am in favor of salary increases for these two elected officials, but I'm not in favor of the salary proposed or the one-time salary increase. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Lewis.
All right, I make a motion that we move ordinance number 73-2022 forward for vote for passage.
Second by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
No.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Kane.
Yes.
6 yes, 1 no for passage.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, ordinance number 73, 2022 has passed. Ordinance number 91, 20.
I'm sorry. I thought that was to suspend, or I thought that
There
was.
was no suspension. It was
I'm
first
sorry.
reading.
Can I vote it for? Because I thought that was just to suspend that.
I apologize, Councilman Sleuth, but I don't believe that permitted the vote. I think we have to move forward. We have to, I don't even, we might have to go to water on that.
Mr. Richard?
Obviously, I would always like more time to research it, but brief counsel, I believe, no, of course, there is a provision in the rules that allow the next regular meeting that it could be brought up and have it voted again, and maybe if you have people that were present that aren't present, but I think that's really your only remedy, unfortunately.
would say, I'm in the same, like, that could happen, but, it wouldn't change the end result. We would still have passage 5-2. And if you'd like to vocalize your error and your disapproval overall.
I am against that, so I would have voted no. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I've had this for suspension
That's okay.
when in reality it was to pass it, so me personally, I'm against that. If it passes, thank you.
So for the record, we can have that Councilman Sluse to vote no.
No, Councilman Sluse voted yes, but he opposes to his own yes vote.
All right. Ordinance number 91, 2022 has passed. But you do have the option of bringing that up again. Okay.
That was 73.
73.
And you want to 5 to vote?
No, 61.
61?
His vote stands. Okay. Ordinance number 73, 2022 has passed. Ordinance number 91, 2022.
An ordinance enacting Rule 25.2 of the Rules of the Massillon City Council as codified in Section 121.02 Rules of Council of the codified ordinances of the City of Massillon, Ohio.
Councilman Gray?
Thank you, Madam President. So we've got 3 readings on this. As you can see, is any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd like to move we bring ordinance number 91, 2022 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Hurricane. Roll call for suspension.
We don't have to suspend third reading.
How do you pass suspension on here? I don't know. Roll call. The real thing.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hurricane,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
7 yes for passage.
Thank you. Ordinance number 91, 2022 has passed. Second reading ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 99, 2022.
An ordinance amending the zoning map of the City of Massillon, Ohio by rezoning certain property from E-3 General Business District to I-1 Light Industrial.
Councilman Creamer.
Thank you, Madam President. This rezoning request has been recommended for approval by the City Planning Commission. It is located at 3725 Cleary Avenue Southwest, parcel number 1001138, and the acreage is 9.1 acres. We do have a public hearing scheduled on August 15th at 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. Are there any questions by any councilors? Seeing none, Secretary.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a point of order.
Yes.
Once you stop down, sorry.
Ordinance number 99, 2022 has received second reading, and there is a public hearing on 8/15/2022 at 6 p.m. Councilman Lewis.
Yes, I believe we have further clarification regarding the vote on ordinance number 73-302.
Thank you.
Councilpersons, Madam President, certainly we observe Robert's Rules of Order, and in Robert's Rules of Order 45-9, it says time limits and efforts to challenge, retake, or change a vote. After the result of the vote has been announced, members can still propose or demand certain actions that may change the result. The member may raise a point of order regarding the conduct of the vote, demand a division of the assembly, move to retake the vote under another method, move for a recounting of the roll call vote, or request unanimous consent to change his vote. So that's except when the vote has been taken by ballot, a member has the right to change his vote up to the time the result is announced, but afterward can make the change only by the unanimous consent of the assembly requested and granted without debate immediately following the chair's announcement of the result of the vote. So that's where we're at.
English, please.
Yes. Councilperson Slutes can move to retake the vote if you want. if it's unanimous.
I would like to make a motion to re-vote on ordinance 73-2022.
Roll call. Second, Lewis. Roll call. Slutes.
Yes.
Barrett.
No.
Creamer.
Yes.
Gregg.
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Lombardi.
Yes.
Roll call of 6 yes, 1 no.
So the revote is not going to be considered.
No.
That means he can revote it.
There has to be unanimous, and
Oh,
if they're voted no.
So the vote stands as 6 yes, 1 no on ordinance 73 for passage.
Yeah.
Number 17 on the agenda is where anybody in the audience can come forward and speak on any topic that did not appear on tonight's agenda. If you wish to do so, please come forward, state your name, address, and topic you wish to discuss, and please limit your comments to 4 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. I am Dr. Julia Franklin. My address is 2020 Stoner Avenue, Northeast, and I am a resident of Massillon for the past 4 years. I'm here tonight to request that City Council work with the Law Department of the City to create and implement legislation to opt out of the Ohio law allowing the discharge of consumer-grade fireworks on private property. As you know, House Bill 172 was signed by Governor DeWine earlier this year. This bill allows consumer-grade fireworks to be discharged on multiple days during the year, including 9 holidays plus several days surrounding July 4th. Municipalities have the ability to opt out of that law, and that's why I'm here. It makes it illegal if we opt out to set up the fireworks on private property. I want to be clear that I am not opposed to professional fireworks displays that are put on around holidays. Those are generally safe and well planned to accommodate both those who want a celebration as well as those who dislike the noise stoking at the time. I hope that those will continue. Neighborhood fireworks disrupt sleep schedules, make pets uncomfortable, and can cause damage to wildlife and the environment. As a pet owner who's talked to my councilman a number of times about this, and his beagles as well, the weeks surrounding the July 4th holiday are horrible for our dogs, and it only takes a cursory glance on social media pages to confirm that there are hundreds of people concerned about fireworks noise in our area alone. There are currently noise ordinances in place in the city of Massillon. Ordinance 509.11 indicates that loud noises are against the law and punishable by a minor misdemeanor. Likewise, there's a barking dog ordinance already in place, that's 505.09, which punishes those who have dogs barking at all hours to disturb the peace. As of right now, fireworks are exempt from these noise rules, particularly since House Bill 172 was passed. Please note, I'm not naive enough to believe that if the city of Massillon were to opt out of the detonation of consumer-grade fireworks, that they would stop completely. However, the legislation would give the basis of complaint against those who are egregious in their use of fireworks in residential neighborhoods. Without the opt-out in place, any complaints against ongoing fireworks are largely ignored, even when they clearly violate the noise ordinance. The police department has many better things to do than to shut down 4th of July party. I know and I appreciate, officer. But when the party goes on for multiple weeks and for long hours, that legislation making it illegal to set off fireworks in the city may be enough to discourage excessive detonation. The Ohio Department of Commerce has a list of cities that have chosen to opt out of the fireworks law, and as of June 30th of this year, there were 76 cities and townships on that list, including the 7 largest cities in the state. Massillon would not be alone in the decision to opt out. I've spoken with my councilman, Michael Gregg, about this concern and also reached out to Councilman Slutz and provided them with a document referencing cities that have chosen to opt out already. I hope you'll consider this request. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could please sign the paper and name and address. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on any topic that did not appear on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, Councilman Hurricane,
I make a motion to adjourn.
seconded by Councilman Lombardi, roll call.
Barrett,
Yes.
Reamer,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Fontaine,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
and Sluse.
Yes.
7 yes to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.